Welcome to Scoop World Order. It is Tuesday. We are right in the middle of recruiting season in May. The coaches are out burning up the rental car miles, going basically coast to coast to recruit. A lot of offers are going out. Official visits are getting scheduled for early June, which again is still weird for me to say because it's only been the last couple of years where we've been able to take these June official visits. But I know the coaches love them because they get to knock them out now and they don't have to worry about them in season, kind of lighten the load when there's a little bit less time. We're going to preview a big time tackle who's coming in for that first weekend in June. We're going to talk about a absolute monster phenom freshman. Who you got to see this kid to believe him because he's a huge freshman. Like, I mean, I go back when I was playing, I was about 6'2", 180, and this kid's 6'7", 250 as a freshman. And he is all of it. We just offered him. He's got Bama, Georgia. He is a phenom's phenom. And we're going to watch this tape, break him down a little bit. But first, as always, we appreciate you guys. Thank you guys for tuning in. Click that subscribe button right there. Thank you. Sorry, I hit the wrong way. And hit that like, hit that subscribe, hit that alert button when you get these live feeds. Shout out where you guys are from. And let me know, who is your favorite phenom of all time? There's Terrell Pryor. There's these guys that are like supernova talents. You see them come through. Paris Johnson was one. You start hearing about them when they're freshmen, and then they just kind of rise up through the ranks. And do they pan out? Maybe give me a guy that you were really excited about who panned out, and maybe a guy that didn't pan out. Write that down in the comments. I love reading your comments. So I appreciate you guys as always. And we are going to get right to my good friend Nevada. Nevada, how are you tonight?
Man, I'm doing better than the Lakers. The Lakers are being violated by the Nuggets right now. It's 72-54 at halftime. And after careful consideration, I've determined that Jokic is one of the top 5 players in the NBA. So Mark Jackson and his MVP vote should have included Jokic in the top 5 on the ballot. How that didn't happen is anybody's guess. But Jokic, I think he's got 16 or 17 rebounds at halftime. Pretty good player, pretty good NBA player.
Yeah, I'm not gonna get on this rabbit hole, but like, there's this narrative with Kendra Perkins about why you don't vote for Nikola Jokic, and he's the best player in the NBA in my opinion. Maybe you could say Giannis or some of these guys, but like, you give me one guy, I'm taking that dude because he is a production machine. He can do everything, makes his whole team better, and he is an absolute terror on the court. I mean, the Lakers have no answer for this guy. And they have Anthony Davis at center. So they have a guy that probably a top 5 center. But man, when you're going with against Nikola Jokic, you better say your prayers and eat your Wheaties, man, because he is crushing the Lakers. He's got 16 boards at half. The entire Lakers team has 13. So yeah, you better go find some courage there, boys. Well, we're going to get into a little bit of recruiting. So May is the time of the year where the coaches, they don't see their wives, they don't see their kids. They're on the road literally from Sunday night until Friday. Usually they might be able to be around Ohio on Friday so they can get home at a decent hour. But this is the time where you're out on the road. You're seeing 2025 kids, 2026 kids. You're in Florida, Georgia, Texas, California, Vegas, East Coast, Maryland, that Baltimore, Washington area, maybe some PA, the state of Ohio, your Midwest states. But, these guys are spending a lot of time in Georgia, the Carolinas right now. Nevada, there are a lot of offers going out. How do you feel about the recruiting efforts thus far? This class is pretty packed right now. We got a quarterback for the 24 class. We got 4 offensive linemen, got a couple running backs. JJ Smith, obviously. Our receivers are incredible. How are you feeling so far about the recruiting efforts of the 2024 recruiting class for Ohio State?
Well, again, I think when we talk about this stuff, I think people, we've talked about one of our core tenets being always being honest with our listeners and making our listeners smarter and more educated fans. And so, I try to call it and be fair about it. And Ryan Day and staff are killing it right now. They're killing it. And I'll be the first one to jump on them when they don't. I think there's some things that they could do to make it better. Why is Parker Fleming out recruiting while James Laurinaitis is back home eating Jimmy John's at the Woody Hayes? That doesn't make any sense to me. But can you argue with the results, what they've done right now? No, they're doing a terrific job, and that goes really across the board, offensively, defensively, line, big speed. I mean, they're doing a great job, I tip my hat to them because, it's recruiting right now is certainly, it's never been more challenging with NIL and some of the different things that are going into it, and they're navigating it. OSU is getting their NIL act together too, which is, something that we've been kind of sounding the alarm about for a couple of years. They're starting to figure it out, and the results are tangible. They've got a really good plan in terms of targeting kids that are not just about NIL, that are more about development. That way, it's kind of culling down the list. They're not wasting time on people that are just NIL kids, and they're doing a heck of a job. And like I said, all the credit in the world goes to Day, because when it goes bad, Ryan gets the blame. So when it goes good, Ryan gets the credit. And Ryan, well, you're probably not listening, Ryan, but Mark D'Antoni, I know you're listening. Tell Ryan, good job. Go give him a hug from Nevada Bucks. Tell him, good job, Ryan. And that should inspire him to jump on that private plane and go recruit somebody else. So go get him, Ryan.
They're all listening to this, man. They love listening to our stuff. What's up, Paul? What's up, Sue? Got some of the regulars in here. Jay, Paul, are you really watching this from Ghana right now? I don't know if I believe that. That's kind of funny if you are. Elijah, Red Lakes, and we got a bunch of these guys. Red Lakes, this is a cool fact. Calvin Booth, I did not know this, is a Groveport Madison graduate. That's pretty cool. So now everyone's root for Denver because we got an Ohio guy running the show. That's awesome. Chase Young was absolutely a supernova. Ted Ginn Jr. was an absolute supernova. We got these guys that are talking about their favorite phenoms. Put your favorite phenoms in the chat. We're going to go to a kid who he is going to be visiting our first official visit weekend. Gerby Lambert, big kid. He's got the spectacles on, so hope he takes those off when he plays. But he's a big tackle, 6'7". I know that everybody is obsessed with us getting tackles, so hopefully we get this kid. But he'd be a fifth guy. I think Justin Fry ends up taking 6 in this class potentially. He's trying to reload. The portal. You already lost one kid to the portal. In Ben Christman. We might lose a couple more. It's funny because there's, something that's kind of keeping these guys here that really don't have a future here playing wise is that the Big Ten guarantees 4-year scholarships. So some of these guys, they thought they're going to get shoved out the door. They didn't get any reps in the spring, and they said, nope, we're going to hang out here. We're going to get internships. We're going to, get the free food and go to the workouts and do whatever. So, hey, better luck to them. I'd rather go play somewhere, but that's their prerogative. I like you know what? I like Isaac Souls Jr., so I'm not sleeping on him at all. I think he's a beast. I really like that kid. So we can break his from down. He's 6'2", 285. So again, I don't get as obsessed with height, especially at center, that some do, because Jacoby Bourne won a national title, and we've had 6'5" centers, and Michael Jordan's a 6'7" center, and he didn't win a national title. So I like Isaac Souls. I think he's really good. I'm gonna switch to this film real quick.
No, but before you get into that, though, Mr. Burton, I got a question, because you just brought up something, and I want to ask you about this. You're talking about guys that are kind of buried on the depth chart at Ohio State, guys that may not play. As you mentioned, the Big Ten makes you guarantee scholarships for 4 years. I mean, can you really blame a kid? You've talked a lot about how for kids that are Ohio kids that want to be from Ohio or that want to live in Ohio afterwards, how important that Ohio State degree is and that diploma from Ohio State and having played at Ohio State. So do you really fault any of these kids that maybe third or fourth year kids that really aren't, part of the football plans, but are like looking at the big picture and going, man, I'm going to get that Ohio State degree and hang around and try to get that? I mean, and I really do want your opinion, because I don't know. I really don't know the answer to that.
I think that's a great question. Again, I can't speak out of both sides of my mouth on that. I think that, if you're in year 4, you're close to graduating. I think the best thing you can do when you're one of these kids is graduate as fast as possible, get that Ohio State degree done. And then if your career isn't on the trajectory that you like it to be, then you can take off and, you can go have that Ohio State degree. It's a lot like Lorenzo Styles Jr. Like Lorenzo Styles Jr. has a Notre Dame degree, or he will finish a Notre Dame degree. So he'll have that Notre Dame degree and he'll have that network. And then, at Ohio State, he's likely to, do maybe some grad school work or whatever, start on his second degree. But, I don't know, like with me, when I was in the shoes of playing at Ohio State, I was obsessed with making it to the NFL. Like, I want to make it to the NFL. I want to be a good player. That took precedence over everything. I never took like a lot of these guys. And again, and this isn't this might not be the right way to do it. Like, kids took summer internships, kids, were working at, Chase Bank and doing all that kind of stuff in the summer. I was like, I'm gonna go relax. I'm gonna rest. I'm gonna get more working out in. Like, I always wanted to maximize my rest just because I don't want to go work. I wanted to make sure that, everything was about my workouts. I would work out from 6 to 8, then I'd go to class from, 8:30 to noon. And then I was done for the day. And then it was just, maybe go hit the woody, go get another workout in, get some ancillary stuff done, get in the cold tub, get in the hot tub, stretch out a little bit, and then head home with a bag full of food and chill at the pool and just relax for the rest of the day. Because I really wanted to make sure my body was in the best form. And again, I could have gone to an internship, but I liked going to class instead of an internship during the summer because you get paid. The thing is if you go to class in the summer, if you're a part-time student, you get half your scholarship checks. If you're a full-time student, you get all your scholarship checks. So I want to be a full-time student in the summer because the thing I figured out after the first summer when I worked is that, you got to pay taxes on that. But if you're working at or if you're on a scholarship, you don't have to pay taxes on your scholarship checks, and you make about the same amount of money. So you might as well just go get your degree done faster, which is what Paris Johnson did. Paris got here early. He went to school full time in the summer, and you can tear up a degree, and if you go to school and take summer classes, like it's not really that hard. If you start in January and you have that full semester, and then you have the summer semester, that you have that May semester, a little shorter semester. I mean, you could get a degree done in 3 years if you graduate early, especially. So, but again, I wanted to play. If I wasn't going to play, I was out. And again, and I love Ohio State, but like these guys should all have the ambition of wanting to be the best football players possible because that's what they were brought here for. They're brought here to be elite, all Americans. They have everything going. And again, there's no shame if I talk a big tough game because I had a really good career at Ohio State as an All-American and all that. But like if I'm stuck behind like Corey Stringer and Orlando Pace and they're sophomores and freshmen and I'm a junior and I can't play guard, then you got a decision to make, so it just kind of is what it is. Cause sometimes it's not really your choice. If you're stuck behind, Dwayne Haskins or Joe Burrow or whatever, like that's, you got to go do what's best for you. Like Joe Burrow made the greatest decision in the history of college football ever, going to LSU and, having that magical year and being the number one pick. And, he's set up to make $60 million a year on his next contract. So, again, it's kind of both, like I think, I understand why I would want to stay and do the internships and all that, but man, I'd want to go play, man. I'd want to go prove them wrong. I'd have a big chip on my shoulder, but that's just me. Again, I wanted to play and honestly, I want guys that want to play. Like I have a lot of respect for Ben Chrisman, who he just took off. He's heading to Kentucky. And he's the guy that he wants to go play. And he was in the 2 deep. He was a backup guard for us, and he wants to start this year. So I mean, he looked around the depth charts and went to Kentucky, and hey, I mean, he might start there. Who knows? But that's just my opinion. Yeah, we'll watch a little bit of this film. This is Gerby Lambert. He's a big old boy. We'll roll this through one more time, then we'll get to the Phenom. But what are your thoughts on that, Nevada? Because again, I had teammates that talked about transferring. I mean, obviously back when I played, transferring, unless you went down to 1AA, you're eligible right away if you went down to like play for the Youngstown State Penguins or whatever. But if you went to another 1A school, you're sitting out of here and playing scout team. So transferring, there was this huge roadblock that doesn't exist anymore. But what are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I don't doubt, or really look down at anybody that does it because, to your point, if Corey Stringer's the right tackle, Kirk Barton ain't playing right tackle at Ohio State. You know what I'm saying?
Nobody would ever hear of Kirk Barton if Corey Stringer was a sophomore and I was a junior, or if he was a freshman and, so that's just life.
That's just life. And it's sad. That doesn't lessen what a great player you were at Ohio State, but you ain't playing in front of Corey Stringer. So it's like, sometimes you just got to get your opportunity, and, life's funny how it comes down to a few moments, and it's things that some are in your control, some are out of your control, because you couldn't control that there wasn't some once in a, lifetime player that was in front of you, because if that had happened, Kirk, and I know you wouldn't have played, and you'd have been great at Stanford or wherever you'd have been, but it wouldn't have been as a Buckeye, and that would have been sad. But that's why when I see these kids, transferring, I'm like, I never begrudge a kid to transfer that wants to go out and play somewhere, because as you said, you spent your whole life preparing for this moment, and it may just be that there's somebody that's just better than you, and that's okay. There's no shame in that. So yeah, I like I said, I think these transfers generally work out best for all involved. They work out best for the school. They work out best for the kid. And as you mentioned, we've talked about the Joe Burrow thing a million times, but I mean, I still cannot get over the fact that somebody went from I'm going to be a car salesman to I'm going to be making maybe $1 billion in my NFL career with one transfer. I mean, I'm still, when you think about that, when you kind of roll that one around in your head, it just absolutely blows me away.
Yeah, I mean, it was like, and again, his own dad, Bill Green's told the story about times. He was talking to his dad, and his dad was like, we're hoping that he can get invited to a camp, maybe be a 7th round pick, and maybe get a chance to make a roster. And I swear to God, it's like Joe, if you guys have ever seen the movie Limitless, it's a great movie. You take the pill and then you just turn into the smartest human being in the world. You can do computations on all else can do. Like, it was like you took the Limitless pill and all of a sudden Joe Burrow became, Tom Brady and everything. It was like this, Jamar Chase became the greatest receiver in college football history. And Justin Jefferson was like the second best. I mean, so it was like this insane amount of talent that just all came together at once. And, those guys are a problem. I mean, they had a great offensive line. Their offensive line won the Joe Moore Award for the top O line. So, but we're going to switch over to the Phenom now. I'll tell you what, Spike, that might be the ultimate supernova is Maurice Clarett. Because in high school, my Perry Panthers, when I was a freshman, we had a freshman team, a JV team, and the varsity team. And in our freshmen, we didn't play JV or varsity. We were always on the freshman team. So we had a freshman scrimmage, and my friend Josh Shimmick's older brother, was on the varsity team. So we actually drove up to Warren Harding to watch the varsity scrimmage versus Warren Harding. And Maurice Clarett was a sophomore, and in this scrimmage, I swear to God, he ran for 500 yards. I mean, it was like, and we were good. Like, we actually went to the final, or we went to the final 8 in Division I, and we're, little D1 school, we're playing Ignatius and St. Ed's, and we beat Massillon in the playoffs. They were number 1 in the state. We beat McKinley that year. So we were good. But when we scrimmaged Warren Harding, when Maurice was a sophomore, I mean, he literally looked like Adrian Peterson, Jim Brown. Like, he was like that guy. I mean, it was just like, our guys can tackle him, and he was so fast. It was crazy. But yeah, that's a great one. I got to see if his high school film or if he has a highlight tape somewhere online, because I would love to break down some of his stuff. He got to come on my podcast. So I've been texting him. I was like, dude, you got to come on my podcast. It's my boy. And that's the guy that I would have loved to have played with, because I loved his nastiness and violence that he ran with. So we're going to talk a little bit about Kendra Harrison. This kid, 6'7", 237. God spent a lot of time on this guy, because to be that big when you're 14 or whatever this kid is insane. We just offered him. He got Bama, got Georgia, so he's got the big dogs. A future cast this early when he's literally about to be he's literally in freshman English right now. He's a freshman in high school. Or just finished his freshman year. He's about to start a sophomore year. Just a big monster. We're going to turn this film on because, I mean, he's, we haven't seen a lot of this guy yet. But Nevada, we talk phenoms, like a 6'7", he's probably 250 now, 250-pound tight end. Like, do you think a guy like that stretches out to be a tackle, or do you think he just turns into like a Darnell Washington, like the kid from Georgia? He's just this monstrous tight end.
Well, yeah, it's funny because that was my first thought. My first thought when I saw him was, I wonder if he'll end up as an offensive tackle, because with the premium they put on those guys and those, it would seem like a natural transition. But it'll be interesting to keep an eye on it, because he's so gifted, so young, and everybody's in on him. This is an Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, USC, Texas. I mean, it's all the big boys in on this guy. And when you watch the tape, you'll immediately understand why.
I mean, he's gigantic, and this is varsity football. They're playing obviously at North Carolina Stadium, and he's graceful. Like, I mean, for me, that big, that young, a lot of kids that are that big, they're not very. I mean, here he just kills a guy. Again, this is a short clip of just him. He's in this. He's just kind of lined up as a tight end. right here you got Mark Pantoni, you got MP playing middle linebacker, you got Pantoni, and he just boom. But again, like he should do that. He's 100 pounds bigger than that guy. But and this is decent ball. This isn't great ball. This isn't Georgia ball. This is Carolina ball. But the dude gets open, and again, like you throw it up to him. I mean, he's a really good basketball player. Obviously, you can tell that. So he's a high level basketball player. Again, I don't know if he's going to turn into a 7-foot center, because if you're 6'7" as a freshman and you catch a growth spurt, man, you could grow into 7'2" and be Jokic. But yeah, again, they're feeding him early in this game. So he's not just a guy that, gets one catch. I mean, this is 3 catches in the same game. So for a freshman, that's pretty good. But yeah, this kid is, we have a lot of phenoms that are like, they're speed guys, or they're, they dominate 8th grade ball. This guy's dominating varsity football as a 9th grader. And, he's physical. Here he's a DN, which is, now that's terrifying if this kid plays DN. Now he's not coming off the rock super hard right there, but if he ever figured it out, because DN that'd be scary. 6'7", 260. Those long arms are just impossible to go against. This is probably going to be, I guess this would be a fade, because anyone with a brain would throw a fade to the guy that's like, what are you supposed to do? Like, look at this poor corner. This corner is just like, what am I supposed to do when they do this? They do the alley-oop to this kid. Any coach with a brain's like, yeah, we're just going to throw it up really high. And like, the guy's just like, what am I supposed to do, coach? But, and again, like, could he be a defensive end maybe? Like, I don't know. I mean, like, he's a big dude. He's got to come off the rock a little bit harder, but again, he's a freshman. Like, when most guys are freshmen, they're playing JV, and this kid's, he's playing big varsity ball, and he's got great hands, got soft hands. I mean, he's like, it's hard to compare him to like Jelani Thurman, because he's the same size as Jelani Thurman now. He's not as strong as Jelani, but Jelani's 4 years older in the film that we've watched so many times. But you love the 6'7", you love the intangibles. And again, like, I'm like, can this guy grow into a 310-pound tackle? Like, if he's smart with this type of athleticism, I'm teaching him how to vertical set and play left tackle. And that's just me. Because anytime I see a guy who's this big and this young, I just think that there's no way that he's going to be able to stay. Because he'll end up being 6'9", and he's going to end up weighing 275. And maybe he'll stay athletic enough to stay at tight end. Maybe he'll keep his weight down. But if he's already 245-ish or 250-ish and he's this young, man, I mean, who knows what he's going to, when he really starts hitting the weights and eating and whatever. I mean, this kid's going to fill out pretty big, because he is a absolute it's funny. It's like, I mean, it's almost like he feels bad for the guys he's going against. Because I mean, like, he could kill this guy. I mean, look at this. Again, this is, I call them the Pantonis, these little tiny guys. And I mean, he could kill this guy. And again, does he have a killer instinct? He doesn't seem like he's that big of a prick. I wish if he just buried this guy. Because again, in football, there's no penalties for dominating a guy that you're just better than, or you're bigger than, or you're stronger than, or whatever. So, like, I think that you just got to see how nasty you are. Because like, there's no reason he should take that play off and take it easy on that guy. But what are your thoughts so far about it? Because again, I don't know who I'd compare this guy to. I mean, the guy from Georgia is a great comp just because he was like a supersized tight end, kind of a tackle-ish guy. But, I'd love to see this guy in person, see how wide he is and how broad he is in terms of his hips and everything, just to see if he truly would fill out. But I mean, you see him catch and run with the ball, man. You're like, holy cow.
Yeah, no, he's definitely graceful, and you normally you see those big freshmen, and they look like big baby deers or baby cows or whatever it is, and they're kind of like their limbs are all over the place, and they're just trying to figure it out. And now, I mean, this kid's definitely, he's got it all going on. He's really well coordinated, but to your point, I don't see him as a defensive player. I don't think he's Ted Hendricks or Ed Too Tall Jones or anything on the defensive side. But as an offensive tackle, I'd be worried he's going to outgrow the position at tight end, and I think offensive tackle makes an awful lot of sense, and that wouldn't surprise me at all. And that's some of the talk out from his high schools, that they may be taking a look at making a move on that for next year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that as we kind of go forward. But yeah, I see him as an offensive tackle in a really good one.
Yeah, I mean, but man, you watch his hands, man. He's got some soft hands, and this guy's catching everything. And like I said, it'd just be interesting to see, is football his true passion? Because like I said, he's a high level recruit in basketball too. And, is he some kid that's crazy and wants to try to play both? I mean, here he's getting a sack coming off the edge. The cameraman's kind of falling asleep. He's probably sipping on his cocoa here because it looks cold in Carolina. But, I mean, again, this is a freshman. So, is he Mario Williams? I don't know. I mean, if you're 6'7", man, that's a problem for offensive tackles, man, because those long arms and he kills his quarterback here. That's a grounding penalty, so that's a sack. And so and a thing I love that is something that you don't pick up from the film is that, well, I mean, you don't pick up from watching the film is that he plays both ways. Like that's something that's like a lost art in modern high school football is that these kids, the coaches think these kids are made out of porcelain, so they don't let them play both ways, or they think they'll get a boo-boo or they'll get a little too tired or whatever. But like in high school, if you're a good player, you should play both ways. Like Brandon Innes played both ways. He played receiver and he played free safety and linebacker. So, again, if you're trying to win, these kids, let these kids play both ways. They'll be okay. They'll be fine. They won't get a boo-boo if they got to play defense a little bit. And, if he's a really a big dude, then play him. I used to always like playing 1.5 ways. It's kind of what I did my senior. I'd take every other series of defense and every series of offense. So, me and Zach Slates would rotate on defense, and it kind of kept us a little bit fresher because we were bigger guys. And then we had a lot of guys that went one way just because they didn't really fit what we were doing on both sides of the ball. But, I think this kid is one of the best tapes I've seen of a freshman in varsity football. And again, this isn't great competition, but you look at the intangibles, you look at how he can catch the ball. I mean, you've seen multiple touchdown passes, high points, multiple sacks. So he's really productive. Like a lot of these freshman tapes we watch, you're watching JV football. This isn't JV football. This is varsity football. And, again, they throw it up to him and he goes and gets it. And, no matter what level of football you're at, if you got a 6'7" guy out there in the NFL, you can throw it up to him because you're not going to have a 6'7" corner out there. Yeah, I love this guy. But yeah, there's another, again, he runs to the ball. He's tough. Like, again, this guy will be a 5-star top 10 player in the country, just based off what I've seen on this tape and just off his offer sheet. I mean, there's like many offer sheets like this kid's. So him, Chris Henry, Tyler Atkinson are 3 of the super phenoms in that 26 class. And wow. So this is rewound at the beginning, but. Yeah, what'd you think of that, Nevada? I mean, what would you grade? Would you grade that kid 5 stars if you're grading him right now?
Well, I mean, to me, like if you look back on the great high school tight ends, what I'm saying, like that, and you're talking about, the Ricky Dudleys and the Kirk Bartons and stuff like that, like he's right there with them. He's right there with the greats. And I'd love to do like a side-by-side comparison of the Kirk Barton high school huddle recruiting tape and his, and just kind of examine the similarities and the differences.
Honestly, like I wasn't good in high school. I'd be the first to admit it. I was just a guy.
Oh, stop!
I'm serious.
I wasn't good. I got recruited to Ohio State.
Well, I mean, but I'm just saying, like, I mean, like if I watched my film, like, I was a guy that was really good at camp. And I was really aggressive, and it was a fist fight every day, and I took it seriously, and I dominated camp. Like at Ohio State, I dominated camp. So, and again, I was the lightest offensive lineman there. I was 265. All these other guys are 300 pounds, and I just dominated camp. Like I dominated the defensive lineman in one-on-one pass rush. I didn't lose a rep. I ran a 4.7. All these other guys are running like 5.5s, 5.6s. Like they were slow, they were fat. So, again, I was an intangibles pick, a projection pick. And, again, like in modern football, like, can they talk about taking projects. And I'm like, well, I was a project. I was a guy that, I needed to red shirt. I needed a couple years, but, by year 2, I wanted to start. Like I wasn't there to just, take it easy on guys. I was there to go take a job as a redshirt freshman. And that's kind of the mentality you have to have. You got to have a chip on your shoulder. You got to be like, all these guys that got offered earlier than me, like the Brandon Maupins and those guys, like it's Shion. And I love Shion Cotton. I love Brandon Maupin, but like I was coming to punish him every single day. Every day at practice, I was coming to punish him because they had it nice and easy and I didn't. And that was my mentality. And again, there's nothing wrong with that. But, I think that That's
Now, wait a
lacking
second. Now,
sometimes. What's up?
is it true that you ran the 4.7 because you wore special shoes? You wore special track shoes
No,
you were
no, I absolutely bought I bought track spikes, and we ran it on field turf, so it wasn't the super duper. It wasn't AstroTurf, like because he used to have a strip of AstroTurf down at the far end of the end zone, but all the 40s now are done on the same field turf that every NFL team and every college team plays on. So it's the same field turf, it's got little grains of tires in the ground. But I bought 100-meter track spikes for that. Like I didn't run it in my big fat lineman shoes, my big slow shoes. I wanted the lightest, fastest. I put those spikes in the ground, and dude, I mean, and that makes a difference. I mean, people can laugh and say it's stupid, but hey, man, when every tenth of a second counts, I mean, you want, if you don't run in track shoes, like when these guys are running the 40 at Lucas Oil Stadium for the combine, the ones that don't run in like 100-meter track shoes are idiots. I'm just telling you, like it's the best $150 you'll ever spend in your life because you'll have the best grip, the lightest shoes, the fastest shoes, and you're only running 40 yards, and as soon as you go to drills, you switch them out and put your cleats on. But yeah, I absolutely did that because I was like, why wouldn't you do that? Why wouldn't you try to give yourself every advantage possible to run fast? Because again, was
that the largest set of track spikes ever sold anywhere or something? Like
dude, back in the day, man, I had to get on eBay and try to find them because they didn't sell them in the stores, and nobody's a size 15 with 100-meter track spikes on. But it wasn't like the internet where you could just sort and filter and find your shoe size. But again, like I took it really seriously. Like I was not coming there to not get an offer, and it was a fist fight. And you wanted, and the thing I've always told kids, because I've told kids to do combine stuff, and they're getting the combine, like, look, they don't write down the kind of shoe you're wearing when you run your 40. They write down 4.67, or they get the laser time 4.40 or 4.35 or whatever. They don't say 4.35 in linebacker cleats or Nike Vapors or Apocalypses or whatever shoe you're wearing, Sharks, the big fat Sharks. Like, so I was like, I'm gonna wear the lightest shoes I can. But no, I really like this kid's film's legit. I mean, he's a legit kid, man. And, I think he's got to be one of the top guys. If he wasn't a tight end, he'd probably be ranked higher, but he's got to be a top 15 guy in his class. Cause I can't imagine there's guys that are more impressive than that or that are that young. But yeah, I love it. What am I supposed to stop? Sue's like dying laughing on this thing. She's probably talking about me being a bust. It's funny, like a lot of people think that Dylan Raiola is going to be a bust. Nevada, do you have a call either way? Dylan Raiola going to Georgia? Is he going to bust out? Is he going to stay at Georgia for 3 years? He's got a transfer portal. What is if you look into a crystal ball, what do you project for a former Ohio State Bobby Buckeye, favorite Buckeye in the world, Dylan Raiola for Ohio State?
I think he ends up transferring. I think he'll end up too. His career at Arizona or Arizona State or something like that. That's my prediction. Again, it's hard to predict, bust land for a guy that some people consider to be the number one player in the country. But we'll see. I mean, with this pronouncement, he'll probably go out and throw for 87,000 yards or something like that, and be the greatest player in the history of college football. But I don't see it. But been wrong before, but we'll be wrong again. But we'll definitely be monitoring this one closely.
No, I think in Georgia's offense, I don't think that's possible. I really don't. I think you can put up nice numbers, but they're ground and pound, and Stetson Bennett put up some decent numbers, but he got to play in the SEC, man. He got to go play LSU, go play Bama, Florida. Like he's got to play like some dudes now, and it's hard to put up numbers in that conference because you're playing at the Swamp and at Death Valley and at A&M. Like you're playing guys that have similar talent to you. You got in the Big Ten, you're playing 9 turds, and then you've got Michigan, and then you've got maybe Wisconsin or some ancillary team that's kind of like a mid-tier turd. But I don't know. Like I think when you look at it, if I'm a quarterback, I'll say this a million times, Aaron Nolan might be the smartest quarterback in the universe, because if I can throw it to Ennis and Tate and JJ Smith, there isn't a place on this universe I'd rather go to. Because it makes your life so much easier when you have 3 absolute 5-star monsters to throw the ball to. Guys that they have big ambitions. They want to go to the league. They're already pros. They're guys that live in the facility. They're on the Jugs machine probably right now while we're podcasting at 10 o'clock at night. I know my boy Ennis is salty because he's a Lakers fan, and my boy Jokic is at 28, 19, and 12 so far, and there's still another quarter to go. So he might go 20, 40, 20, and 20. So, but I don't know. I just think that like if you're serious about what you're doing, you want to go to Ohio State, you want to play for Ryan Day. But that's just my opinion. It's funny, man. I just don't. Yeah, I was gonna say like so JJ Smith's gonna take an official to Penn State. Great. I don't know why, but again, you got to remember these officials. The schools can fly him up. He gets to eat lobster tail and steak. Gets to hang out with the co-eds. So whatever. I mean, he can go do whatever he wants. He's gonna end up being a Buckeye. Again, the only thing that could change that is if Brian Hartline goes elsewhere. If he goes to be a head coach somewhere, goes to be an NFL coordinator, that's it. Otherwise, he's a Buckeye. So, as long as Brian's here, JJ's here. He's not going to be messing around at Georgia. And, outside of George Pickens, Georgia doesn't have a huge lineage of receivers since A.J. Green. Like, A.J. Green was a long time ago. That was about 13 years ago that he got drafted, or 10 years ago, whatever it was. So,
but Kirk, let me take it one more step. I mean, it's not even like the Willie Williams days where they're doing this. With NIL, you can pay these kids appearance fees to come visit your school. So it's like it's not even like, hey,
absolutely,
we're gonna wine and dine you, and you're gonna get to meet the hostesses and have the thing. It's like you're gonna get paid to come visit these schools. I mean, it's absolutely insane how much it's changed. NIL, it's all about the kids.
Well, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing. If you guys want to know the deep, dark secrets of NIL, there are schools and collectives that are literally offering guys like JJ Smith just to decommit from Ohio State. They don't have to commit to their school. There's cash figures out there just to decommit and get the hype train swirling. And then there's cash offers to come visit places. And there's cash offers to, go to a camp, So again, guys are literally getting offered real money to decommit, not even have to commit. Like there's no contingencies. So you have to decommit and come to Florida or Miami or wherever, but that's real. Again, it's as greasy and slimy and as unscrupulous as you could ever imagine, but that is where we're at right now. And again, these camps like Rivals and those guys, they all want JJ to be there because it's just a different level of buzz when a guy like JJ Smith shows up. These schools will do anything. I mean, Penn State has some serious NIL, especially in wrestling. They buy every good wrestler there is. So that's why their wrestling team just destroys everybody, along with Kale Sanderson, who's a great coach. But they've got serious money in hockey and NIL. So, it would have surprised me if and again, I this is just totally guessing because I don't know why on earth JJ Smith from Miami would want to go to State College in the summer, but whatever. But there's some serious NIL stuff going on, but I'll just leave it at that. So any final thoughts about it? Watch this last quarter of the game, but any final thoughts on the Phenom and some of the guys that we talked about tonight?
No, just Ryan Day and staff continuing to do a nice job, and they're really positioning us well for the 2023 class and beyond. They're just doing a great job, really hitting it hard, and before you know it, we're going to be deep into fall ball. So I just can't wait. I cannot wait for this season. I think it's going to be a big year for Ohio State, a really big year, a special year, and I can't wait to kick it off.
I totally, absolutely agree with you, my man. Well, we appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sue. Thank you, crew. Thank you, everybody, for being a part of this tonight. As always, we appreciate you guys tuning in live. It's always fun to interact with you guys. You guys bring outstanding insight, outstanding questions. So thank you guys so much. Again, if you enjoyed this content, please leave us a like, click subscribe, click that little alert bell so you know every time we go live. We love having you guys on here. We love kicking it with you guys. It's a blast. Shout out where you're from and let me know who are your phenoms. Who are the phenoms that you look forward to seeing at Ohio State? Maybe give me some names from the past, maybe some from the future, because we got some young kids committed that are monsters and I'm super excited about it. Again, we're killing it on the recruiting path, and let me know what other recruits we need to get to round out this 24 class. I want to hear those names. So appreciate you guys as always. Thank you so much, Bucca Nation, and thank you, Scoop family. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you. You guys have a great rest of your night. Roll, Nuggets, roll.